Hello everybody. Today I'm going to do a short video on the Quirks of the Prusa and the Prusa V2 3D printer. I am going to be selling this one. It'll be leaving tomorrow, and so I was just going to make this video to showcase what I've learned from the printer, and maybe other noobs can learn from my experiences. So first off, after using the printer for a while, the zinc rod and the zinc nuts start to wear on each other, and as you can see down here, you'll start to see little filings falling off the bottom of the Z-axis. And at first I didn't think anything of it, but these will start to get in between the threaded bolt, or through the threaded rod and the bolt, and it will jam it up. So one side will get stuck, but the other side will still go up and down, so then nothing will work correctly. You can't even maneuver it by hand. It'll just be stuck completely. I read on the forums to start using brass nuts and stainless steel rods, so then the stainless steel rods will still be intact, but the brass nuts will wear. So the easy fix would just be replacing the nuts, then you don't have to take the whole printer apart. Next thing is the dreaded wiring. I have a lot of problems because my wiring isn't correctly set, which isn't that big a deal because you just have to re-solder them in, but if you don't do it right the first time, obviously you're going to have big problems. Like for example here, the bed won't be heating up, and I'll see during the middle of a print I'll start seeing the heated bed start to slowly decline in temperature, and you're in the middle of the print and you're just worrying, oh crap, hopefully my piece doesn't come off of the bed. So make sure your wiring is another one. Your wiring is set correctly. Next is the Greg's extruder. For some reason, whenever I go to change filament, I can't just manually put a new piece in here because for some reason it gets stuck between, I believe, this wooden platform and the hot end. Now I haven't had any problems with the hot end, which is the Maker Gear V2, I believe. Now they have the V3. But so what I've had to do is bring the Z-axis all the way up as far as possible to try to unscrew from underneath the Greg's extruder from the hot end so that I can put the filament through the hole and then through into the hot end and then re-screw it back in. Now I don't know if the upgraded Greg's extruder with the accessible piece here, the second version of this, I don't know if that'll fix the problem. Maybe it will, because then you'll just be able to open it up and get the filament. You'll be able to see down the hole into the hot end a lot easier than taking out the two. Well, I have two now springs. Now first, when I built the Prusa, I put regular pen springs in here, and for some reason the PLA would just come out in drips, and I couldn't figure out why it was coming out in drips, and that was because there wasn't enough tension on the bearing and the filament, so that the hot bolt wasn't gripping as much as it should be on this, because obviously PLA is a harder substance than ABS plastic, so it needs to really grip as much as possible. So I changed these out to really thick springs, and now I have it pretty tight, and I haven't had any problems since then. The next problem I've had was between the wiring from the ramps board to the heat bed. What was happening at this point where the power was connecting here, I was using two thin of gauged wire, and what happened in between this connection was it actually melted and fused the wires together, which set off my power supply, and I had to get thicker wire and cut the wiring here and put a new Molex connectors. The next problem I've come in to play with is my first hot end from Maker Gear was the 0.35mm, and it got clogged up. And I didn't know why it got clogged up, if it was the filament or not, but I cut up a piece of sock and just maneuvered this in between the filament, so as it went in, any dust and extra particles would get caught up into the sock, and that seemed to fix the problem. After a while of printing, you'll see that the sock holes that you cut in, or whatever material you cut, you'll start seeing dust and debris and crap. So I have the other hot end, I just need to clean it out still, but that's what I highly suggest, is get something to clean the filament as it's going into your hot end. Otherwise, at least with the smaller hot ends, you'll get it clogged. This one now is, I believe, a 0.45mm hot end, so I haven't had any problems with that. No cloggings at all. Okay, and then also a problem that I've had where I've had skipping in the wiring or with the belts is when I have my filament on roll and then the filament gets stuck in one spot, and then while the extruder is moving on the y-axis, it gets snagged, so then it skips a step. Then you start getting prints off to the side and printing in the middle of nowhere. So always make sure that your filament is free from getting from any snags, so that you don't get that problem. Other than that, as long as your end stops are in the right spots, I haven't had any other problems with this printer, at least. Now, of course, since they're made with Home Depot parts, you always should be watching it. But for example, for my new M2, this print, for example, took 17 hours because I had the whole thing infilled, and it's 100% filled. And I went to work, went to bed, everything was fine. I didn't need to worry about anything, except for, of course, ABS's problem with the curling, which I still need to fix. But other than that, this looks beautiful. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to be watching the M2 printer. But for the Prusa, I would definitely make sure that you're watching the printer at all times. At least be in the same room, so if you do have a Y-skip, that you can fix it on the go before you spend hours and find out that your whole print is messed up and you wasted all that filament. So that's it, guys. This is my first 3D printer made by hand. I'll be sad to see it go, but it's going to be funding the rest of the project. If you have any questions, just leave them down below, and let's all say farewell. Bye-bye.